If you think Valentine's Day is only about roses, candlelight, and sweet messages, then what I'm about to tell you might change the way you look at February 14th forever. These are not urban legends. These are not movie plots. These are stories shared by real people who experience something that still keeps them awake at night. And tonight, on True Scare Tales, you're about to hear the kind of Valentine's Day horror that doesn't fade when the flowers dry. Before we go deeper, take 2 seconds and hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow, and it makes sure you don't miss the next story that might just stick with you for weeks. Now lock your doors, lower the lights, and listen carefully. The first story happened in 2017 in a quiet neighborhood in Oregon. A man named Daniel had just moved into a small rental house after a breakup. Valentine's Day was hard for him, so he decided to ignore it completely. He ordered pizza, turned off his phone, and planned to spend the night watching old movies. Around 9:40 p.m., there was a knock at his door. He wasn't expecting anyone. His pizza had already arrived. He looked through the peephole and saw a bouquet of red roses lying on the porch. No person, just the flowers. He opened the door slowly. The roses were fresh. A white envelope was tucked between them. His name was written on it in neat handwriting. Inside, there was a short message. "You promised you'd never forget." Daniel felt a chill. He had never made a promise like that to anyone. Not that he could remember. He tried to brush it off as a prank. Maybe a neighbor with the wrong address. He placed the roses on the kitchen counter and went back to his couch. At 10:12 p.m., his phone buzzed. Unknown number. The message said, "I'm glad you liked them." Daniel stared at the screen. His phone had been off all evening. He had turned it on only minutes earlier. He typed back, "Who is this?" The reply came instantly. "You really don't remember?" His stomach tightened. He checked his social media. No new friend requests. No tags. Nothing unusual. Then another knock came. 3 slow taps. This time, when he looked through the peephole, he saw someone standing at the edge of the porch. A woman in a long dark coat. Her face was partially hidden by her hair. "Hello," he called out. No answer. When he opened the door, she was gone. But his car door was open. Daniel called the police. They searched the area, but found no one. The officers told him it was probably someone playing a prank for Valentine's Day. That night, at exactly 2:14 a.m., Daniel woke up to the smell of roses. Strong. Overpowering. He walked into the kitchen. The bouquet was gone. In its place, on the counter, were dozens of rose petals spelling out one word. Remember. Daniel moved out a week later. The landlord later told him that the previous tenant had died in that house on Valentine's Day. A woman. She had been waiting for someone who never showed up. To this day, Daniel swears he has never met her. The second story comes from Texas in 2021. A woman named Claire decided to try online dating again after being single for almost 2 years. On February 13th, she matched with a man named Ryan. His profile looked normal. Clear photos. A job listed. Mutual interests. They talked all night. He was funny, charming, and seemed genuinely interested. On Valentine's Day, he suggested they meet at a small Italian restaurant downtown. Claire arrived first. She texted him, "I'm here." He replied, "I see you." She looked around but didn't see anyone waving or walking toward her. Then another message came. "Blue dress. You look even better in person." Her heart skipped. She was wearing a blue dress. She scanned the restaurant again. Every table looked normal. Couples talking. Families eating. No one staring. "Where are you?" she typed. "Right in front of you." Claire slowly looked at the empty chair across from her. It was empty. Her phone buzzed again. "Why can't you see me?" A cold wave of fear moved through her. She stood up and walked toward the exit. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered without thinking. On the other end, she heard her own voice. It was a recording of a conversation she had with her sister earlier that morning. A private conversation about how nervous she was to go on this date. Then a whisper came through the phone. "I've been listening for a long time." Claire ran outside and called the police. When they investigated the dating profile, they discovered it had been created that same day. The photos were stolen from another man's account in a different state. They traced the messages to a public Wi-Fi network near the restaurant. No one was ever identified. But the worst part? Claire later learned that someone had accessed her apartment building's security camera system weeks before Valentine's Day. Someone who knew exactly when she left, when she returned, and what she wore. She deleted every dating app that night. The third story was shared anonymously with True Scare Tales last year. The man asked us not to use his real name, so we'll call him Marcus. This happened in 2014. Marcus and his girlfriend had been together for 3 years. He planned a surprise Valentine's proposal. He left work early, bought candles, chocolate, and a small ring box. When he unlocked his apartment door at 6:30 p.m., he noticed something strange. The lights were already on. He was sure he had turned them off. He stepped inside. Candles were lit along the hallway. Soft music was playing from the bedroom. His heart started racing. He thought maybe his girlfriend had decided to surprise him instead. "Emily," he called out. No answer. He walked toward the bedroom. On the wall, written in red lipstick, were the words, "You're too late." The music suddenly stopped. Marcus rushed inside the bedroom. It was empty, but on the bed was the ring box he had bought earlier that day. Open. The ring was gone. He called Emily immediately. She was still at work. She had no idea what he was talking about. When police arrived, they found no signs of forced entry. The only fingerprints on the lipstick tube belonged to Marcus. The landlord later told him something he wished he never heard. The previous tenant had been engaged. On Valentine's Day, he came home to find a similar message written on the wall. His fiancée had disappeared. She was never found. Marcus and Emily broke up months later. He says every February 14th, he still finds a single candle outside his door. The last story is the most disturbing. In 2019, a couple in Illinois decided to celebrate Valentine's Day at home. They ordered takeout and watched a romantic movie. Around midnight, they heard 3 loud knocks on their bedroom wall. Not the front door. The wall. It sounded like someone knocking from inside the house. They checked every room. Closets. Bathroom. Basement. Nothing. At 1:03 a.m., it happened again. 3 knocks. This time from inside the closet. The husband slowly opened the closet door. Nothing fell out. Nothing jumped at them. But the back wall of the closet looked different. Slightly uneven. The next morning, they called their landlord, who gave them permission to inspect it. When they removed the thin wooden panel, they discovered a small crawl space between their apartment and the next unit. Inside that space were empty water bottles, snack wrappers, and a small pillow. Someone had been living inside their walls. Police later arrested a man who had been secretly moving between vacant units in the building. He had been there for months. And yes, he admitted he knocked on the wall just to see if they'd react. Valentine's Day is supposed to be about love. But sometimes it reveals obsession. Sometimes it reveals secrets. And sometimes it reveals that you were never as alone as you thought. If any of these stories gave you chills, let me know in the comments which one disturbed you the most. And if you have your own true Valentine's Day experience, share it. Your story might be featured in a future episode of True Scare Tales. Don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who thinks Valentine's Day is harmless. You never know who might need to double-check their doors tonight. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next story.